Hey trackies, welcome back to another video here on TXT Track Time. Please remember to like the video and also subscribe to the channel. Trackies, Erriyon Knighton thought he got off. No, not so fast. The AIU has now filed an appeal to CAS against Erriyon Knighton. This against an arbitration tribunal decision in the US that the athlete established no fault after USADA brought charges against Erriyon Knighton for the presence and use of trenbolone. Now, for those who don't recall, let me give you a quick refresher. Now, an independent arbitrator concluded no fault violation appropriate for track and field athlete Erriyon Knighton. Yes, that is news that broke on June 19th. Now, there are a few little underground rumblings given the fact that no one was seeing Erriyon Knighton, that something was afoot. But news finally broke on the 19th of June when USADA announced that an independent arbitrator had rendered a decision in the case of track and field athlete Erriyon Knighton after a full evidentiary hearing on June 14th and June 16th, where both Erriyon Knighton and USADA were provided an opportunity to present their cases and witnesses to the independent arbitrator. The arbitrator determined that Knighton will receive a no fault and will not be required to serve any period of ineligibility after testing positive for a metabolite of trenbolone during an out of competition drug test on March 26, 2024. Now, this is what caused the problem hereinafter. Not only was he given no fault, but here comes USADA CEO Travis T. Tygart in his response. We did what the rules require us to do in all positive cases. We can take comfort that justice was served and transparency as required by the rules were achieved. Say what now? I've never heard anyone lose a case and say justice was served. Well, track is he put his foot in his mouth. So, track is if you're trying to understand more about this case, well, guess what? Erriyon Knighton's positive test was determined by the arbitrator to be more likely than not caused by consuming meat contaminated with trenbolone, which is a livestock growth promoter that is used legally in beef cattle produced in and exported to the United States. Knighton tested positive despite any fault or negligence, so he will not face any period of ineligibility. So that's what happened. He contaminated beef. Or so the story goes. He was feasting on some Jamaican oxtail. So now he goes by Oxtail Boss. Now, I, famously made the joke back then when I did, get news of what he tested positive or what he consumed in order to have this positive drug test. Now, look here. The whole Jamaican I walk up and down right now with trenbolone in our system because all we do I eat oxtail day in, day out, right? So all our athletes, have trenbolone in their system potentially at this particular point, and it's no fault of their own, given exactly what is happening here. Now, the mere fact that none of our athletes are testing positive for trenbolone tells you, say, it's not that easy to test positive for trenbolone, and the trace amount that is required for it to be significant enough for you to fail a drug test is not what you get out of just a regular consuming of oxtail. Based on my limited knowledge, track is that's all I would say. So, with that being said, interestingly, right after this particular release, it seems as though WADA did come under some fire. Yes, everybody started to look and say, excuse me, WADA, what is going on here? Since when do we allow, or since when is it allowed for a governing body over drug testing say we can take comfort that justice was served and transparency as required by the rules were achieved? Well, guess what? WADA came out firing, and this is what WADA had to say. They were considering appealing, yes, the Knighton decision. Now, this is what, as again, this is what WADA had to say. Now, once WADA has a full reasoning decision, it will study that along with the case file with its usual skepticism and diligence. They also go on to say it will be important, for example, to ascertain how this positive test for trenbolone was caused by meat contamination, which would be extremely rare for that substance. Did you hear what I said? Jamaicans yam, oxtail, day in, day out, and we now test positive for trenbolone. And as I said, here, let me reiterate what WADA had to say. It is extremely rare for a positive test for trenbolone to be caused by meat contamination. Yes, Trackers, that is what he had to say. No, interestingly, as again, the chief of USADA put his foot in his mouth when he declared justice was served. No, this is what Water had to say. It is difficult to understand how Travis Tigard can declare with such certainty that justice was served. In this case, given USADA had argued that the analytical result was incompatible with meat contamination and had originally sought a sanction of 4 years against the athlete. Look here. So you mean to tell me, say, Yosada brought a case against Erriyon Knighton for 4 years, saying that the result was incompatible with meat contamination, which is what USADA is saying. It is very rare to get a positive test from meat contamination, right? So how do we go from seeking 4 years to saying that justice was served? Well, guess what? Guess what? Guess what? Guess what? Moving away from the consideration from WADA to appeal the case, we have now on today, the 14th of August, gotten news that the AIU has now filed an appeal against Erriyon Knighton to CAS over this decision, this arbitration tribunal decision done in the United States of America. So, track is quite interesting days ahead when we take into consideration Erriyon Knighton, and if indeed CAS does rule against the decision that was initially handed down by the Independent Arbitration Tribunal. Track is, if that's the case, then all of his competitions up to this point will also be, scratched from the record book. Plus, he's looking at potentially serving up to 4 years if indeed found guilty. Now, I want to hear what you guys have to say. I know a lot of you, when initially, this case came up, were questioning, just like myself, how did we reach this decision? And here we are now at this particular point where WADA has indeed appealed the decision with CAS. So now we are waiting to hear the final decision that CAS will hand down eventually in the near future. Now, as I said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like the video as well and subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.